Hello, my name is Andrea, and my video project is going to be on Hortensia's speech before the Second Triumvirate. She was an ancient woman who lived during the time of 42 BC, who became famous for her historical speech before the Second Triumvirate. She was known as a skilled orator. Her father was Quintus Hortensius, and he was a well-known orator and was notorious for his sermons on history and law during that time. Hortensia was fortunate to grow up in a wealthy household, and because of that, she had the opportunity to study literature and focus on speeches from her father and other famous orators. The Second Triumvirate, who was a group of officials of the time, had complete power and commanded the military legions. They also had power over how their wars would be funded and even resorted to killing wealthy landowners for their wealth. The triumvirs had a short on funding, so they decided to tax wealthy women in the Roman state to fund their war. That caused an outrage, and the women started to protest against the tax. During times of war, women were allowed to engage in public speaking, and the women chose Hortensia to be their spokesperson to express their concerns. Hortensia went on stage and gave her speech to the Second Triumvirate. She expressed how they have already been deprived of the men in their lives, and by taking their property leaves them in poverty and to be homeless. So she questioned, why must we pay taxes for a war we have no control over, and that they have no political voice? So Hortensia, she received a lot of praise for her speech, and it made a great impact on the citizens and the triumvirs. The next day, the triumvirs enacted a partial repeal and reduced the number of women to be taxed by over 1,000, and required male property owners to loan money to the state and make contributions to war expenses. Moments, scenes, and ideas that contributed to my understanding, whether it was culture, values, and society, was produced was when the Second Triumvirate had complete power in the Roman state. On their command, funding wars would often resort to the legal murder of wealthy male citizens. When it was wartime, no male was safe. You were sent to war or murdered for your wealth to fund it. In their society, wars were ongoing, and it appeared that wealthy citizens were only beneficial to fund wars. Hortensia can be viewed and recognized in her time as an early feminist. Women were considered second-class citizens, whether wealthy or not. However, during times of war, they were granted the right to speak publicly, which Hortensia took advantage of with her orator skills. When given the task to speak out against the taxation on wealthy Roman women, she was not afraid to give a forceful, brave, but bold speech to the ruling triumvirs. She spoke for the rights of women. Also, her speech moved many women and reminded women to speak up and act on their own beliefs, because it was in their best interest. Moments, scenes, and ideas of Hortensia's speech before the Second Triumvirate contributed to my understanding of my own culture and values of society was when throughout the events and speech, it does seem to mirror modern day education, because Hortensia had great exposure to great speakers and literature in her life. She was able to understand and articulate her concerns and those of others. In all societies and cultures today, there is a continued struggle as a woman for personal and financial independence. Women have continued effort to make their voice and opinions count socially and politically, as demonstrated on Hortensia's speech to the Second Triumvirate. And yes, I would recommend this text of Hortensia, speech before the Second Triumvirate, because Hortensia can show how brave you can be and that it's okay to step forward, not only for women, but for others and everyone. Hortensia also shows how all people, you can step forward and approach people in a respectful way. I think it really depends on how you deliver yourself when you want to stand up for something. Hortensia also shows how education and knowledge serves to benefit not only yourself, but your entire community. Thank you.